My trip that I took when I went to Zim and how I ended up going to church, and now I am a Christian. I go to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I went to Zim and I ended up refusing a Tokoloshe. My name, you can call me Tabo, not his real name. I am a 34-year-old man and I am doing my own business, and I sell to different vendors that sell fruit and veggies. Even though I am not making a lot of money, but when I think about it, I feel as if I am making more than $1 million in the spirit than what I could have gotten if I had accepted the baboon, which is a Tokoloshe. I am grateful for what God gave to me. I am grateful that God gave me the courage not to go ahead with the money rituals, even though I was threatened by the traditional healer when I visited him in Zim. I am not someone that is wealthy. I do not have expensive clothes. I don't have many millions in my bank account, but I feel so much better when I open the Bible. When I read the Bible, I feel that God made me to do the right decision. I want to share my confession with the rest of South Africa about my trip that I took to Zim, why I walked away from a baboon which I saw with my own eyes that appeared out of nowhere, which was a Tokoloshe. So for many years, I was a long-distance truck driver in KZN. I was born and raised in a sugar cane plantation, so driving came to me naturally because my father, he was a truck driver, and I had other uncles as well that were truck drivers. They were driving the trucks on the farm, so it was much easier for me to get into that business. Before I even got a license, I already knew how to drive a truck. Eventually I got my license and I started working as a long distance truck driver, and I had many friends. I then started driving in Botswana as well as going to Zambia and Zim, because the boss that I was now working for, he was an Indian boss. He was buying groceries and exporting them, even including the alcohol. So I had a disaster that made me to have an accident. When I was driving at night, I hit a donkey on the road. I was in Botswana and I had an accident. Unfortunately, my leg, it started to decay. Even when I was taken back to South Africa, my leg did not heal. I was then told that they were going to remove my leg. There was nothing else that they could do. When I was told that they were going to remove my leg, I started to ask myself, how was I going to continue operating a truck, yet I would have lost a leg? Eventually, I lost my job. You know how Indians, they are like, no benefit, nothing. He only paid for my medical bills until he saw that he could fire me without me taking him to court. He left me completely broke. I started to use my savings, taking myself to the hospital. As for my wife, she left me when she started to see that things were not okay. I felt like a failure of a man. Whilst I was drowning in my poverty, I started to notice that one friend of mine that I had left at that same workplace, his name is called Job. He was a Zimbabwean national and we were driving for the same company, and me and him, we used to go on the same route. If we were going to Zambia, then we would go to Zambia carrying the same product. All of a sudden, I came across his video here on TikTok. And this man, he had bought a brand new truck. I saw pictures of him. He was at WCT, that yard, if you know it, where they are selling trucks at an auction. He was standing with a white guy and he had a Volvo truck that was beside him. And this guy, he bought another one. And I was surprised about how he was making so much money. And I started to speak with him on TikTok, and I would tell him that I wanted him to assist a brother. He did not respond to me. It took about a year until he finally responded to me. I said to him, as a foreigner, how did you get so much money to get trucks like that? What are you doing, my brother? Please tell me, because I also want to get in the business. He then said that we were going to meet. He would talk to me and then he would stop talking to me. He eventually gave me his WhatsApp phone number and then he said that he wanted us to meet. And indeed, we had a meeting. The guy then told me that he had bought those trucks for cash. He was not owing anyone. I said, my brother, is there a place where you get all of that money? I want you to show me the source of your money. He laughed and he looked at me and he said, are you serious that you want me to show you the source of my money? I said, yes, please, show me where you are getting your money. He said, okay, it's fine. He then said that I was supposed to prepare my passport because he wanted to take me to his country. Then we went to his country. When we arrived in his country, we stayed in his village and then we went to the place where the traditional healer was staying. When I was at that traditional healer's place, I saw that there were a lot of people that were there that had came to do money rituals. Then there were those that were there because they had done some things that were wrong. It was something that I had never witnessed in my entire life. This place, it was full of people and all of them, they were there because of money rituals. I was then taken into the first consultation where you pay money. I put the money inside a clay plate and then I told the Sangoma that I wanted to also be able to buy my own trucks. Since I was now disabled, I was unable to work. I needed magic money. He then said, okay, it's fine. If you want this, I'm going to show you the boy that is going to follow you to South Africa. This is the boy that is going to be working for you, where you are going to be making your magic money. But you need to sacrifice blood. And he told me that I was supposed to sacrifice the blood of my child or the blood of my mother. And once we begin, there is no more turning back. Before I could answer, I saw a baboon that came into the room where we were. This baboon came and it sat right next to me, and I was told that this was a Tokoloshe that had been called from the mountain. It had came running and it was ready to travel with me back to South Africa. I said, what are people going to say when they see me with a baboon? I was then told that no, this baboon can only be seen by me. There is no one that will be able to see that Tokoloshe. But I was supposed to know that this Tokoloshe, it survives on the blood of my relatives and on their suffering. I was then given some time to think. I then went outside. As I was sitting outside thinking about the life that I was going to live once I would have returned back home with that Tokoloshe, how much money I was going to make, the tenders that I was going to be doing. As I was sitting down, that was when I started to look at the people that were sitting outside. It was pure demonic. Everyone was under the yoke of darkness. I saw a woman. She was just eating soil. She was lying on the floor and she was eating soil. And I started to speak with another man and I asked him why that woman was eating soil. And the man that responded to me, who worked for that Sangoma, told me that this woman, she had came to that Sangoma and had been given a Tokoloshe, but unfortunately they could not do the things that the Sangoma had told them to do. So that baboon ended up beating that woman, and that is why she was running mad, and her relatives had just dumped him at the Sangoma's compound. She was just waiting to die. And I said, oh, at least if she die, it is far much better. That man that worked for the traditional healer laughed, and I asked him why he was laughing. He said, to die is the worst option. It is far much better that she continued to live in this situation. And they said, how can you say that living as a mad woman, it is far much better than to die? And he said to me, don't you know that once you sign the agreement with the Sangoma. Once you get a Tokoloshe, when you die, your soul is going to come to this shrine so that you can also work as a Sangoma for the next person that is going to be doing rituals. You will be like a Tokoloshe. And I said, a Tokoloshe, you say? I was surprised because I did not know that when you do money rituals, when you die, you do not go anyway. They collect your spirit and they keep it at the traditional healer shrine, and later on they can wake you up and they can sell you as a Tokoloshe, where you go and you work hard, meaning that you will never know peace once you would have died. When I heard about this, I started to look at how much demonic activity that was taking place. By then, I was not a Christian. And I returned back into the consultation room and I spoke with the Sangoma. The Sangoma asked me if I was ready to start with the rituals, because he had this book that he had where he said that I was supposed to write my name, the names of the people that I wanted to sacrifice until I die. I saw the names of people that had been sacrificed and I said, I am sorry, I can't do this. I cannot do the money rituals. And the healer then said that he was unable to refund me because I had already seen his Tokoloshe. I said, it is fine. Me and my friend, we returned back to South Africa. My friend, he was just moody and he said that he wanted to go to his farm to check on his business, and he booked a flight for me, and I came back to Joburg via a flight. And when I came back, the guy then started to respond. He stopped responding to my messages, and I understood that there was no way that he would want to continue talking to me, since he had tried by all means to give me a better life, but I had refused that Tokoloshe. When I came back, I looked at my mother and I started to cry. My mother just thought that maybe I was crying because of the disability that I now had, and she was also crying. But I was crying because I was like, Mom, you do not know in my heart that I was about to sacrifice you when I went to Zim. Now that I am doing this business, I don't make a lot of money, but I do have this freedom. I don't have anyone that will be asking me to sacrifice my relatives. If I die as a poor man, it is okay. My wife left me, and I am okay with that. I really do not mind that my wife left me. She did her own decisions because she expected me to always be making money as a truck driver. I never even bothered to fight with her. Even now, she does not want me to have access to our son, but it is okay. I just say that, God, you know what the future holds for me, and I put my trust into your hands. Dear listeners, right, there was a message that was sent to us by one of our admin who helped us with this translation. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Let us thank God that He gave you that courage indeed to say no to money rituals. But maybe by now you'll be crying. If you have ever attempted to do money rituals, reach out to us at Brother Nashim on Facebook. The next message that I want to share with you, it reads like this. Hi brother, how are you? My name is Brian. I am a man that is currently staying here in Bulawayo, but originally I do come from a village in Gwanda. I regret leaving my brother when we were fighting with a Lesotho gang in South Africa. I was a Zama Zama there in South Africa. So I left my brother, and what those guys from Lesotho did to my brother, I can't forget it. Every time when I close my eyes, I keep on seeing what happened, and I am traumatized by the way that my brother was crying when those Lesotho gang came to where he was and they were beating him. He was crying like no man's business. I had a young brother of mine who was called Dumisani. I was the one that brought him to South Africa. He had a wife who was pregnant at that time, and I called him and I said, come to South Africa so that you can find something to do, because you now have a wife, because he had recently finished his high school and there was no way where you could get a job. So I said, come to Joburg. When he came to Joburg, they did not know that I was a Zama Zama. I lied to people that I was working in a supermarket in South Africa. I was a manager, but I was doing Zama Zama work. So I was working illegally, and we would go to abandoned gold mines around Joburg, Barberton. That was where I used to operate. So as a Zama Zama, you just don't go there alone. You are working as a syndicate, and the world of Zama Zamas, it is very different from what people know. When you are underground, the laws of South Africa, they don't work. There is no police, there is no rule, there is no one that will feel sorry for you. People can kill you, even the people that know you. So as for us, we were boys that were like a Ndebele gang from Uganda, Bulawayo. We operated on our own, finding our own gold. Then we started to fight with these Zama Zamas that were from Lesotho. It happened near Velcom. That was where we were busy digging up for the gold. So our luck ran out, and we went into another shaft that belonged to Basotho Zama Zamas, and we started to fight with those guys. And they were afraid of us. Sometimes we were afraid of them. As you know that I am not afraid of a gun, and I can fight with a person who is even having a gun. I was then taken by another Shona guys. They were afraid of this Basotho gang. They came to us and then they said, you Ndebeles, you can go with us because you are brave. We then took our weapons and we went to the Basotho shaft, where we started to fight with them. As we were fighting, unfortunately, my brother Dumisani, he was shot on the leg. We were underground by then. And when he was shot, unfortunately, he was unable to walk. He tried to stand up so that we can run away, because these guys, they were overpowering us and we could hear them. They were getting closer. And then we said, no, gents, let us run away. And for us to run away, leaving my brother, it was my decision. The other guys, they were like, we cannot leave him because they are going to kill him. And I said, if we carry him, all of us, we are going to die. I just looked at my brother and I said, sorry. And then we ran away. But as we were getting out of the shaft, then we started to hear that they were busy beating up my brother. What they did, it was really painful. It was really painful. I still remember my brother, he was screaming, you are leaving me, brother, you are leaving me, please come back. They then took a hacksaw and they started to cut him alive. That is how they killed my brother. He is buried somewhere underground without a grave. So they cut him into several pieces, and those guys, they continued digging for the gold, yet they had cut my brother into many pieces. The only part of his body that we got, it was his leg. That was all that we got. So we then eventually returned back to Zim, me and my wife, because I saw that this Zama Zama life, it is not okay. By then my family already knew that my brother, he was dead. But to this very day, my mother and my relatives, they do not know exactly how Dumisani died. They just think that what I told them is the truth. I said that he fell into a shaft and then we never found his body. But after he died, me and my other friend, we just buried that part of his body that we found in a field there in Joburg. My wife does not even know about this. To this very day, whenever I feel like I am thinking about my brother, I start to cry. I've been thinking about telling my mother, because my mother, she is very sick right now. She is in the hospital. If I go and if I tell my mother that this is what happened to his son, do you think that my mother will forgive me, or maybe my mother will hate me for the rest of her life? Dear listeners, right there was a translation of a message that was sent to us by our brother. Let us speak with our dear brother in the comment section. I think maybe you should speak with your mother's relatives, and then they find a way to tell your mother in a way that is not going to make the way that she is sick to become more serious. Let us speak with our brother in the comment section.